founder of LifeKnight, where we are the smart way to keep your people safe. In a past life, I was a real estate broker, and one day on a showing, I found myself in a dangerous position, one that could have taken my life. My employer did not have anything in place to keep me safe, and I realized there was a much bigger problem, and that was companies don't know when their employees are in danger. So this is a $130 billion market, and it's running on antiquated software and antiquated systems. It's just not up to par with our current safety systems. Our solution is the LifeKnight Enterprise software. We use biometrics, AI detection, and geolocation to find out if your employees are in danger, and it can be used with a smartphone or any wearable. So in my instance, I was in trouble. If I had had LifeKnight, it would have detected something was wrong and would have contacted my employer or the police with information about that and my geolocation. We've had a ton of traction, including being backed by IBM Watson and NVIDIA. We have pilots, we're working on our first contracts, we have our first patent, and we even worked with NASA. Our initial customer is a Fortune 100 company, and they are using our software to protect their workforce. We're also talking to visiting nurses and places like Kennedy Space Center. This is a preventable problem. It's not just a moral imperative for companies to protect their workers, it's really expensive if they don't. We have a scalable, reoccurring revenue model, and we have an amazing team with the experience, the connections, and the vision to make this come to life. I don't want anyone to ever feel the way I did that day, and this goes beyond workplace safety. I have a passion to make the world a better place. Please join me, and if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me after this. Thank you.
Great, well, move into the questions. Who wants to go first?
Could you speak more to how biometrics and AI are being used with your software?
So we use AI agents to detect variability in behavior and things like heart rate variability, body temperature. So we monitor the person and we know kind of what their baseline is. We also know when something's spiking. Someone gets into a geolocation that's out of the area they're supposed to be in. So that's some of the ways that we detect if something is different in their behavior. It doesn't work 100%. Sometimes we have false positives, but we'd rather have a false positive than have somebody be in danger.
Can you talk a little bit about privacy, both of the employees and how you're protecting data more broadly within the B2B customer?
They have all of their employees sign off before they use our technology, so everybody's well aware of the data that we're collecting and why we're collecting it. We also don't use the data unless there's an incident, so we're monitoring it, but the only thing that we're capturing is did something happen, so we can report it to whoever needs to know about it. And they all have to opt into it and agree to it.
So I'm assuming they have to have some sort of wearable in order to make this solution work?
Yeah, they have to have a wearable. We can integrate with any type of wearable that people normally wear. One of our customers is going to use the Apple Watch. You can use it with Fitbit. There's a lot of jewelry that is a wearable now. One customer that's monitoring first responders is using the Oura Ring. You can use a smartphone with it as well. And we do have ways to use it within a facility without using wearables, just to monitor geolocation.
First, I'm so sorry that happened, and I'm really grateful that you turned something that could have been very tragic into something you really care about. I love founders with a deep mission like that, so thank you for that. I'm curious, you mentioned some of the pilots you have, some of these folks, these organizations you're already starting to work with. Have you had it yet detect a potential crisis yet and intervene? Have you actually seen it all the way from beginning to end?
We had a pilot that we did a couple years ago with social workers. We did have, this is when it was just on the cell phone. We have a safety app that we deployed with them, and we did have a couple incidents where we had to intervene. In that case, I think one of them, the supervisor intervened, and then in another one, we did have to get the police involved. We can deploy to any first responder in the United States, Canada, British Virgin Islands, and Puerto Rico. So we are actually built on top of the existing emergency system in this country and others.
And just so I'm understanding the functionality, an alarm, there's some kind of crisis happening, the supervisor gets the notification first before any kind of emergency services.
They can do it any way they want. If they want to route directly to emergency services, we can do it that way. If they want to handle it inside their GSOC, for example, we can do it that way as well.
Great. What do you see as the biggest challenge for you in scaling this to what you want it to become?
I think actually time was just our biggest challenge. I started this several years ago. I don't think the world was ready for it or really understood the need for it. So I think now is the time. Like every startup, we need resources, we need the right people to help us on our mission, but I think we're ready to go. So I don't see too much of a roadblock at this point.
Okay, and a question I always like to ask, and I didn't get a chance to ask this of the other two founders, so I hope I do get to after this, is in addition to the investors you have on the stage, you have a bunch of investors and great resources and network in the room, so how can everyone in the room be helpful to you?
So we're looking for customers, we're looking for conversations with investors and people who just want to help. If you want to help technologically, we'd love to talk to you as well. So anybody who wants to talk, please get a hold of me after, and you can also swipe our code and get a hold of me that way too.
I had a question around the competition. It seems like people do similar things, but how do you break through the noise of the marketplace with the different competitors right now?
So we've looked at, Apple SOS, things like Life Alert, things like Life 360. They all hit the mark in one area, but not all. Most of them go through expensive call centers, and they aren't automated, they are not proactive. Somebody has to actually physically do something for it to work and for it to protect them. So we're really ahead of the game when it comes to automatic detection and direct connection to 911. Those are sort of our biggest differentiators. And we've kind of combined everything that we saw in the market and turned it into our product.
Whose budget does this come out of, and how do they sort of rationalize ROI on the investment? Are you usually taking, or do you envision yourself taking out one of these competitors usually? And if so, how are they sort of rationalizing ROI relative to the old guard?
Well, we just started getting customers and having those conversations, and so the Fortune 100 company, large social media tech company, they have a budget for it. They have a lot of people who travel, so we can help them with their lone workers that travel. They have a lot of people in data centers, and they're most concerned about people who are more vulnerable on campus and traveling, and they have a budget for it. I think they've worked through the numbers, and if you look at how many billions of dollars is spent per year with lawsuits and fixing a problem, and not to mention injuries and deaths, I think they're well aware that this is something that is going to not only help their employees, it's going to help with retention, but it's going to help their bottom line too. Anyone else?
Yeah, all right. Yeah, thanks so much for your time.
Thank you.